will have to pass through the valley of the shadow. You know what it is? This, the valley of death. Ulit. Good day everyone, my name is Joy May Colanza, your next discussant for today's lesson. Today we are going to talk about another lesson, but before that, let's do some simple motivation activity or some activities that you can try wherever you are. And by the way, I hope this video finds you well. Before we start, I really hope that you are okay. And let's proceed with the activity. You're just going to act out the simple line from a famous novel, speeches, or plays. You're just going to act it out. And let me do the first line. If I will to interpret, it would be like this. You can see that there is no easy walk to freedom anywhere. And many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shadow. And you know what valley it is? Death. We need to pass through it again and again before we reach the mountain tops of our desires. There you have it. It is a speech titled No Easy Walk to Freedom, a speech by Nelson Mandela. You can try the other lines if you want. Here. The line number 2, number 3, number 4. Just pause the video if you want to familiarize it first and then try it on yourself. The line number 5, number 6. Number 6 is the last number. And here we go. The activity I just did earlier is an example of prose performances that we are going to talk about today. So we are going to discuss these strategies in teaching prose, particularly the prose performances. But before that, let us first define. I know most of us, or maybe all of us, know what prose is. Let's define it again. So prose is the word that originated from the Latin word prosa, meaning straightforward discourse. In the New Oxford American Dictionary, it is defined as written or spoken language in its ordinary form, without metrical structure. Without metrical structure, meaning it is not a poem, it is not written in verse. It is just a straightforward discourse. So basically, most of our everyday writing or conversation that are expressed in common flow of conversation are expressed in prose form. However, Chuck's 2018 underscores that in writing prose, it is necessary for a writer to arrange words into correct sentences and in a logical sequence in order to make sense of the intended messages. So, meaning, as prose is expressed in ordinary style of writing, it should have the sequence or the proper chronological order for it to have a meaningful purpose. Ayan. For the reader to decode or to understand. So, Prose, sabi dyan, is expressed in an ordinary style of writing and is free from any rhyming scheme or meter, unlike the poem, which is an example of poetry. So prose is easier for a reader to absorb because it has no rhyming. You can just read it and understand it because it is written in a straightforward discourse. However, each writer practices a unique writing style. We are to make sense and construct meaning from those writings to accurately comprehend the story. So even though it is not written in verse, it has no rhyming scheme, we still need to understand what it means by making sense of the sentences written in a prose form. So let us proceed with the strategies in teaching prose. Teaching prose requires strategies that go beyond simple reading and answering questions. Its genres offer rich opportunities to develop students' comprehension, critical thinking, creativity, and appreciation of literature. Effective teaching involves engaging students actively and helping them connect with the material emotionally, intellectually, and imaginatively. We are not just reading a piece of literature. We should go beyond it. We should understand what it means, what is it for, and what are the lessons we can get from that piece of literature. There are 3 essential strategies that are particularly effective in bringing prose to life in the classroom. And these are silent reading, prose performances, and dramatic performances. But in this video, we are just going to focus in the prose performances because that is my topic. But let me give you a brief description of what is this tree so you can distinct them from one another. Silent reading encourages students to internalize and interpret texts at their own pace, meaning children are reading on their own. They have their own pace, speed on how to read the text, and therefore it enhances focus and individual comprehension. Meanwhile, prose performances transform written words into expressive readings, helping students understand tone, mood, and character voice. So in prose performances, the reader are expected to express as read aloud but with emotions, with mood, and with feelings. And the other strategy is the dramatic performances. In dramatic performances, it provides opportunities for students to embody characters and scenes, promoting empathy, interpretation, and deeper literary appreciation, which are not present in the prose performances. So here in dramatic performances, students embody, while in the prose performances, they express. They are just using their voice and expressing the literature they have read. But then in dramatic performances, they embody the character, meaning they are acting. They are doing the scenes with props and costumes, and it promotes empathy because they are to internalize the characters. These 3 strategies do not only build reading fluency and critical thinking, but also foster creativity and collaborative learning, particularly in prose performances and dramatic performances. Silent reading can also foster collaboration when the students ask for assistance on how to pronounce these words or what this word means. Ayan. And using these varied approaches allows teachers to meet diverse learning styles and keep the study of prose dynamic and meaningful. So now let's proceed in defining what is prose performances. We have done the three strategies and now we're going to define what is prose performances. So prose performances are unique events in the sense that you do most of your acting through narration and emotional acting. Prose performance also is a strategy that involves students orally interpreting and presenting a prose selection such as a short story, novel excerpt, anecdote, or dramatic monologue to an audience. And it blends oral reading, acting, and interpretation, turning written narratives into an engaging live experiences. So that is the edge or the edge of prose performances, because we are to read aloud the literature with feelings, with our own interpretation on how to deliver the piece of literature that we are reading. And another one, prose can be categorized into two. We all know that it can be categorized into two. What are those two? The fiction and non-fiction. And it is also effective for making texts more accessible, memorable, and emotionally resonant. I know you already know what is fiction and non-fiction, but then let us have a short recap. So fiction is any narrative writing that is a product of the author's imagination. Correct. It aims to entertain, inspire, inform, or persuade the readers. And its genres revolves to novels, short stories, myths, and legends, fables, and the likes as well. So those are the examples of fiction. Non-fiction, on the other hand, is any writing that is based on true events, people, places, and happenings. It is designed to inform and sometimes to entertain. Its genres include autobiographies, biographies, essays, diaries, and journals, narrative, non-fiction, and the likes. Those are examples of non-fiction. So, and another definition of prose performance is that performing literature requires, or performing this kind of literature requires gestures, utterances, physicalizes, and audience. And the audience mode shifts to show the audience the story and characters coming to life. A good performance causes emotional dynamics in the audience state of mind in which the narrator, characters, and point of view are established for a successful performance. There are types of prose performances. The types of prose performances are dramatic reading, monologue or soliloquy, scene performance, narrative retelling, and reader's theater. So let me give a brief description of these 5 types of prose performances. When we say dramatic reading, students read a prose passage aloud with emphasis on tone and emotion without full memorization or acting. So in dramatic reading, all that matter is your voice. In here, the performers are with their scripts or holding their scripts, and they are delivering the scripts with emotions, expressions, and feelings. The monologue or soliloquy, here a character's inner thoughts are performed as a monologue, giving insights into personal conflict or narrative turning points. So here in soliloquy, we can connect it to a point of view of the character in a novel. So if a novel has the point of view of the characters, in prose performances, the characters do have soliloquy or monologue wherein they tell their feelings in the audience, but the other characters in the stage cannot hear them, just like in the novel. The reader knows their thoughts, but then the characters inside the novel do not know what they are thinking about. That is soliloquy. Then another one is the scene performance. Scene performance, part of scenes or a famous scenes wherein students act out key scenes, complete with props, gestures, and possible costumes. So here in scene performances, students are expected to do acting with props and with costumes, with gestures, full effort on scene performances, because they are going to deliver the scene while internalizing the characters. In narrative retelling, students retell the stories or story from a different perspective. So in narrative retelling, they are going to change, to refashion, to reshape the story in a different way, but still similar from the predecessor or from the original story. It's just that they are going to change the point of view, the character's point of view, or maybe they're just going to change how the story will flow. They're just going to narrate it in a different way. And the last is reader's theater. So in reader's theater, it is a performance without full memorization, where students hold scripts and focus on expressive reading and coordination. So reader's theater is somewhat similar to dramatic reading. They are going to perform without memorizing the script, because they are holding the script with them. No props, no costume, with gestures, maybe with gestures, and the voice, the expression of the voice. Proceed with the effective teaching strategies for prose. So in order for you to teach those types of prose, the dramatic reading, soliloquy, scene performance, narrative retelling, and the reader's theater, these are the effective teaching strategies you should be able to do for a successful prose performance. Number one is prose small group discussion. In here, this is done by facilitating class discussions through which the students share their own thoughts about reading. And the teacher may consider breaking the class into smaller, more manageable group of learners to maximize their participation. And this group will talk about the given literary piece. Therefore, everyone will be benefited by hearing varied perspectives about the topic. So that is a small group discussion, because we need to interpret how to deliver the literary piece. Therefore, we need a discussion, a simple discussion. And another strategy is to create found poems from prose. This is done by using found poems created by students based on the prose that they have already studied. Through this, students' creativity and comprehension skills will be encouraged and improved. They are to go back to the literary piece or source they have read and encircle phrases or maybe words in that prose and create a poem out of that encircled words from the prose. That is what we call found poems. And another teaching strategy for prose is the 5S prose strategy. And here, 5S strategy, the speaker, the situation, sentences, shifts, and syntax will be taught to students to help them analyze prose passages. They will be guided as they record their observation and interpret each heading of graphic organizers. So here in 5S prose, the 5S, the speaker, situation, sentences, shifts, and syntax, are used for them to better understand the passages given to them. Just like that. Let's proceed in the classroom applications and strategies. So, these are the detailed steps on how to execute a prose performances or on how to teach prose performances. So, let's start with the before the performance. Before the performance, let students choose or assign passages. So, let the students choose or assign passages, guide them through close reading and discussion, teach performance skills such as intonation, pacing, gesture, and eye contact, and offer practice time and feedback. So, those are what to do before the performance. During the discussion or during the making of prose performance, first is to create a respectful, encouraging environment. That is very important to ensure the safety, the agreement, and the correct interpretation of the literary piece. And the next one is to consider inviting peers or other classes as the audience. Others may not agree with it, but it helps in successfully executing the prose performances. That is to invite others to watch your prose performance. Is the applications or the strategies after the prose performance. So after the prose performance, we should conduct a reflection session. Reflection session on where to improve, what are the missing points or the flaws we have. We should not forget the good points. And another one is to give formative feedback on interpretation, delivery, and understanding. And the last one is to use rubrics focusing on clarity, engagement, analysis, and creativity. So after performance, the teachers are to assess how was the student's performance. So they should use rubrics that focuses on clarity, engagement, analysis, and creativity. So we are done with the classroom application and strategies. So let's now move on to the purpose, benefits, and value or educational value of prose performances. These are important for you to appreciate more or to value more the prose performances. So let us first discuss the purpose and benefits of prose performance. So prose performance helps students to deepen understanding and interpretation of text, improve the oral communication and public speaking skills, build confidence and creativity, engage with characters, settings, and emotions in a dynamic way, and foster collaboration through group performances or ensemble scenes. The next one is the skills that are developed in doing prose performances. So those are literary interpretation, vocal clarity, and expression, because prose performances are more on voice, more on vocal practices or vocal performances, because they are to act, to interpret through vocal, through their voices. And another one is the body language and movement, audience awareness, and character analysis and empathy. And last one is the narrative structure comprehension. And doing prose performances rather. And let's move on to the educational value of prose performances. We have it enhances comprehension and analysis. So another educational value is to promote emotional engagement. In prose performances, students internalize emotions of characters. Kanina sa dramatic performance, sa reader's theater, sa soliloquy, and this leads to a deeper understanding of the text, themes, and conflicts, wherein they can use it to better manage their emotions in performing prose performances. Another one is to foster collaboration and peer learning, meaning they're not just learning by themselves but with others as well. Students internalize emotions of characters given to them, and they are studying or they are exchanging opinions about that character within their group. So group performances allow learners to work together. And the last one is to encourage interpretation. Each performance is unique, and students learn that there is no single way to interpret a piece of literature. So therefore it promotes critical thinking, because they are going to interpret how to act out or how to deliver a dialogue based on the script or the literature they have read. But before we end our discussion, let us all read the conclusion. So in conclusion, prose performance is a powerful strategy that transforms reading into an active, creative, and collaborative experiences, because we are not just to read the literary piece. We are not just to use our monotone voice in reading, but to express, to change our tone, our mood, our speed, and the expression of our voices or of our faces, and also the gestures. So it is really a powerful strategy to transform reading into something engaging and entertaining. So it bridges the gap between understanding and expression, helping students connect emotionally and intellectually with the text. Whether through simple read aloud or full dramatization, prose performance invites students to inhabit the story, not just read it. Ayan. I really hope that you have learned something about prose performances, everyone. And thank you so much for listening.